Today we're unboxing and diving deep into the brand new Sony WH-1000 XM6 headphones. The hype has been real and I finally got my hands on them, but full disclaimer, I bought these myself. I didn't have these sent to me, these were paid with my own money, just so you're aware. We're going to check out the sound quality, the noise cancellation, the comfort, and everything else you need to know, so stick around because this could be your next favourite pair of headphones, and I'll even tell you what I don't like about the XM6. So let's jump into it. So one of the first things that you're going to notice about the box is that it's pretty round. It's pretty basic. There's nothing too crazy on it. You've got the basic details like your serial number on the back of the box, which you might want to write down for registration purposes unless you're doing it through the app. And yeah, it's nice cardboard, recyclable material. Looks great. In the box, we've got a set of instructions, which I really love, the warranty information and everything in here, because it's kind of sealed around the tag of the case. The case itself is got a magnetic clip on the side. Inside, you've got your XM6 headphones and a little pocket to stuff away everything that you need cable-wise. Giving a nice little angle here, these were freshly untouched, unfingerprinted in all their glory. So I've shown you a bit about the unboxing, and I did that out of the studio, so that's kind of why you've got a bit of a different background there. But jumping into the nitty-gritty of this device, and we'll discuss some of the technical specs shortly, I wanted to kind of be a little bit different because there are now thousands of different videos across YouTube discussing these headphones, the tech specs, the quality, the comfort, things like that. I kind of wanted to try and make it a little bit unique while not kind of straying too far from the path. I've actually also got my XM4s here as well because, like some of you, or a lot of you based on what I've been hearing, a lot of us didn't upgrade to the XM5s when they came out and went straight from the XM4s to the XM6s. I'm a big fan of the magnetic clip opening on the XM6 case. I think it makes it a lot easier to actually get to these things rather than have to fight your zip every time you want to get it out of your bag. The size of these are not too bad either. They're not too different. They're pretty much similar. I think the XM6 is slightly wider, but that could be due to the curve of the oval-shaped case. Obviously, I'm missing the little pocket, the little mesh pocket on the front of the XM4 case here, but essentially, there is a place to pop your cables just inside, although they do kind of stick out a little bit. But if we're not being too fussy, that shouldn't be a major issue. And inside the XM4 case, obviously we used to get the airplane adapter, which we don't get with this. What we do get instead is just a very small USB-A to USB-C adapter. And then again, the gold-plated aux cable. Case-wise, I think we've got a bit of an upgrade. Again, no pocket, but we do have the magnetic clip. So happy with that. Now, one of the reasons I didn't upgrade to the XM5s was because of the fold. They didn't fold. And it kind of hit us all for six, and we thought, do you know what? These were great things to travel with, these cans, and now they're not. Well, they've brought the Sony XM6 back into the fold. They have got a nice fold to them. They look pretty damn similar to the XM4s, which I've got here. And that's a great improvement over the XM5s. But is it something that we should be celebrating? Because I don't think we should have lost it in the first place. Cups-wise, and you'll have to bear with me because I bought my XM4s back in 2020. And these babies have been rocking for a long time. If you recently saw my PX8 Bowers & Wilkins review, I rated them almost the same. In fact, I would have put the XM4s above the PX8 any day of the week in terms of comfort, in terms of sound quality. And I tried multiple pairs. I got a good few comments on that video saying, do you know what, maybe you had a dud, maybe you needed to check those things out a bit more. I certainly did. I went back a few times to the PX8s, and do you know what, my XM4s just kept coming up. The thing you're going to notice quite quickly, obviously, is the leather. Now, again, you've got 5 years of use going on here, but you know what, these things held up. I've never used any special cleaning materials on the XM4s. And, you know, in all fairness, even the headband has only recently started showing signs of wear and tear. That's 5 years. That's bloody awesome. With the XM6s, you've got this lovely plush, I believe it's vegan leather, and I wasn't too blown away about it straight away. But that was my initial reaction. So when I was looking at these, I was thinking, I don't like this material, because if you squeeze this material in, look what it does. It's quite deformed. It doesn't quite bounce back straight away. And I was kind of put off by it, and I thought, not really my cup of tea. Whereas these, and these could stay on my head all day, the XM4s. I really loved them. But I really loved them. I started to understand why these cups were designed the way they were, and it's to create the perfect seal around your ear. If you look at the video I'm playing now, you'll see that when you put these babies on your head, once it's compressed against the ear, it then bounces around that shape, because we all have different shaped ears, to make the perfect seal. And there go, work with the active noise cancellation. So that's why we've got that. The other part of the design I wasn't too fussed about was the actual hinges. Yes, they fold. They do what we want them to do. However, I just feel like they stick out a lot more than the original. You've got this point on the end here, and I wasn't just too much of a fan of it, Again, doesn't change the quality at all, but it does change some minor aspects. I also felt that the XM4s had a bit more style, a bit more build to them, whereas the XM6s have kind of gone totally round. I just don't see any detail on them. Again, this doesn't detract from the fact that I like them and will use them every day, but the detail in these headphones it's just kind of lost. The XM4s had this timeless look about them, that the gold Sony branding, and had a few more bits and bobs to it, a bit more detail, a bit more build. In the XM6, yeah, they're functional, but it just doesn't give that same feel. And the hinges are obviously, not the hinges, the headband extensions are in different places now. So you've got this one down the bottom here, whereas this one was at the sides. That gave the head a bit of that arc. Getting on to the sound quality. Now, I pretty much had the same problem with the XM6 over the XM4s as I did with the PX8 and my XM4s over them. These babies cost me $3.99 on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description below. Feel free to use my link. It doesn't cost you any extra to purchase them, but it does, help contribute to my channel. I wasn't immediately blown away. And I know we've got to, burn these in, and I'm in the progress of doing that now. I've only had them for the last, 24 to 48 hours, and they do sound good, and they do have a lot of good EQ settings. But the EQ settings have also changed on the Sound Connect app by Sony as well. Whereas on the XM4s, I use the bright EQ setting. I couldn't find that same setting in here, so I had to kind of play around with the app and do a custom version myself to kind of get it to where I like it in the app. And I'll show you how that looks as well. Now, I do feel like we had a bit of an issue on the XM4 sometimes where we were struggling to get to grips with the touchpads, but they were nice and big. The surface area on the XM6 looks to have kind of been more refined. It drops off way more sharper and is a little bit less surface to play with, in my opinion. You can see that there. They're a little bit tinier, which, again, doesn't detract from the quality. But it does make a slight difference, again, in navigating the touch settings and getting to grips with that. Sound quality themselves is good. You're not going to deny that from Sony. They are better than the XM4s, but there again lies the problem I had with the PX8s when I said the XM4 sounded just that little bit better than the PX8. These XM6 sound just a little bit better than the XM4, and that's my personal opinion. And I'm not an audiophile. I do listen to a lot of FLAC music. I do listen to a lot of lossless. But when I'm laying £400 down for a set of cans like this that have been in the making for me for the last 5 years, since I haven't upgraded to the XM5s, I was expecting a lot more. That said, they do sound good, and the noise cancellation far exceeds that of the XM4s. I've been listening to these in a lot of different environments, through a lot of different areas, and I do find that the noise cancellation really is good. I do attribute that not only to the new QN3 processor, but this cup design, which creates that perfect seal around your ear. Not to mention, these things have 12 microphones on them that listen to the sound around you and then kind of counteract that, and they also give you good noise cancellation. The other thing that I noticed, obviously, straight away, is the buttons on the bottom. So we've gone from all rectangle button options there to, on the XM6, a bit of a round power button. And then obviously we've got our noise cancellation or A/B button as well. Nothing on the other side, same as the other one, both USB-C. And the only other thing that really tickled me a little bit was that the noise change. So when we listen to the XM4 noise, let's see if I can get the microphone to pick that noise up for us. This is the XM4 sound.
Power on.
And sound off.
Power off.
And then the XM6. And off. I just miss the XM4 sound a lot. And I know, again, I'm being a little bit nitty-picky here, but I do. I like that sound in the XM4s. But there we go. I've listened to a lot of sound, a lot of music, watched some films on the XM6. I've never owned the XM5s, but looking across a lot of YouTube viewer reviews, a lot of them are saying, should you go from the XM5s to the XM6? And they've said, yes, the noise cancellation is worth it. Should you go from the XM4s to the XM6? I'm saying, if you've waited as long as I have, absolutely. Because if you've been with these babies from the beginning and you didn't go to the XM5s, then yes, this is going to give you your latest, greatest improvements, the latest updates, the latest sound, and the sound itself is a little bit richer. It's definitely got a bit more punch. In fact, one of my friends were using these last night, and I was saying, you know, have a go at these and see what you think. And for him, the bass was too strong. For me, I needed to really amp that bass up. So yeah, I mean, it's all swings and roundabouts. It's really personally subjective. I just didn't want to do a video where it was just bang full of specs without giving you some of my own personal experience with it. So ultimately, it's definitely going to come down to your personal preference. I think you should make the jump, but just don't be expecting mind-blowing alterations. Don't be expecting huge leaps in the sound, but it is better. I know that's a bit hard to understand there, but it literally, it's not mind-blowingly different, but it's got its perks. And we're all different. We're all going to hear different sounds, and our ears are all unique to us only. So maybe if you can try these out in a store somewhere before you buy them, certainly give that a go as well. If you have a friend that has them, ask to listen to them and play around with them for a little bit. And I'm sure you will make your mind up. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.